ahead, man. Try it. Your parents won't find out.
If Dad and I do drink when we go out, we use good judgment.
Want a beer?
No thanks. Coach would really get on my case.
Hello, I'm Dr. Lonnie Carton. It isn't easy to be a parent these days, is it? Most of us need all the help we can get to raise secure, self-disciplined, socially responsible children. Our Family Talk About Drinking video offers advice from professionals and situations that demonstrate how effective parenting strategies may help. I've often said that if there were a formula for raising children, it would be made up of 10% luck, 10% inspiration, and 80% perspiration. The luck part has to do with things like the kinds of friends your child makes and the teachers he or she gets. The inspiration comes from listening to our children and giving them the attention and affection and approval they need. The perspiration is expended in the hard work, the time, making the decisions that have to be made and doing the disciplining that has to be done. The goal of Family Talk is to provide some basic guidelines for talking to your child about drinking. These guidelines have been carefully formulated by the Anheuser-Busch Family Talk Advisory Panel, educational, medical, and family therapy experts that have considerable experience in this area, some of whom you will meet later in this video. One of the most important things that our Family Talk research told us is to start early. The prime time to reach impressionable youngsters is between 9 and 11, when they're old enough to grasp complex concepts, but still young enough to listen to their parents and want to imitate the way parents behave. What other strategies can parents use? Set a good example. Boys and girls are very careful observers. Your actions and attitudes about drinking are being communicated to them whether you drink or not. Be factual when you discuss the topic of drinking. Don't damage your credibility by using scare tactics or threats or lecturing. Know the facts and share them calmly, caringly, and convincingly. Set firm rules and guidelines. Let your children know where you stand when it comes to drinking. Practice good parenting through family togetherness. It creates an atmosphere of open communication, trust, and respect. This helps build your child's self-esteem as an important contributing member of the family. Get to know your child's friends and their families. Be aware of the powerful influence of peer pressure. Make sure your son or daughter understands what a real friendship is all about. Tell your children that real friends don't embarrass, threaten, or force you into doing things you don't want to or know you shouldn't. Good friends give you the right to make your own decisions. Get help promptly. If you know or suspect that your child has a drinking problem, get professional advice and assistance. Not all children or all parents are alike. This is why there is not just one way to deal with the subject of drinking alcohol beverages. Whatever strategy you choose, remember that children take cues for their own behavior from their parents' behavior. Let's ask Dr. David Olms about the importance of this influence.
Parents are the primary role models for their children. Everything you do or say makes an impression on their young minds. That's why it's very important for parents to set a good example.
How does that apply to drinking behavior?
If you do drink, don't overdo it or place too much emphasis on it. The vast majority of adults who drink do so responsibly and moderately, as a complement to a social situation or a relaxing conversation. For them, drinking doesn't become an end in itself or a way to deal with problems. If children observe responsible drinking by parents, they are not likely to become problem drinkers themselves.
What about parents who don't drink? How do they deal with the issue?
Even if parents abstain from drinking, they still need to present facts to their children about alcohol. Explain to the child the reasons you have chosen not to drink, in a factual, straightforward manner. Exaggerating the dangers of drinking, or turning alcohol into something totally evil, may actually end up making it more attractive to children, especially if children find that what their parents have been telling them isn't the truth. One more thing. It's important not to present information to your child like you're lecturing. It's better to look for what we call a learning moment, such as if your child just saw a TV news story about drunk driving.
Let's see how these guidelines might be applied by looking at a series of situations involving children, parents, and drinking. For each situation, we'll view how a problem arises, hear specific advice, then return to see how the parents handle that problem. If you choose, you can stop the tape and come up with your own solutions before viewing the concluding segment of each situation. Let's begin with a question from a young child that many parents might not be prepared to handle.
Jimmy,
Right here, Mom.
doing your homework?
Yeah.
How's the math going?
Can't do anymore. I'm starving to death. Can I have a snack?
I'll get you a glass of milk. When you're finished, you can have a cookie.
I guess I can do it, Mom. I only have 3 more.
How was school today?
Okay. We started a special thing today in class because it's Drug Awareness Week.
Oh, that's good. What kinds of things are you learning?
Well, we learned that alcohol is a drug, and that alcohol is in beer, wine, and liquor. Mom, I've seen you drink wine and Dad drink beer. Does that mean you take drugs?
A question like this, coming from a young child, shouldn't surprise you. Many schools are teaching young children about drugs. Frequently, alcohol is also discussed. What are some good guidelines to follow when your child confronts you with just such a question? Let's return to Dr. David Olms.
First of all, a parent must address the child's question about drugs. Alcohol is a drug, just like vitamin C and aspirin are drugs. Alcohol is simply formed through the brewing and distilling processes. It's a legal drug. However, it is illegal in all states for those under the age of 21 to purchase alcohol beverages, and in most states, except for specific situations such as religious ceremonies, it's also illegal for them to drink. While there is no such thing as responsible use of illegal drugs, such as crack cocaine or heroin, over 100 million American adults consume alcohol beverages, and most do so responsibly. Another key distinction between alcohol beverages and illegal drugs is that several recent medical articles have reported certain health benefits among adults from the moderate consumption of alcohol beverages. However, it's important to communicate that abuse of any product, sugar, salt, aspirin, alcohol, or even too much apple pie, can be bad for you, and that drinking is only okay for adults.
But a child's natural response might be, if it's okay for you to drink, why isn't it okay for me?
The answer to that is basically that alcohol affects adults differently than it does children. That's why there are laws against underage drinking. Kids should be told there are many reasons why they shouldn't drink. Their bodies are not mature enough to handle it, and they're not emotionally ready because their judgment skills have not developed. And as we stated earlier, it's illegal for children to purchase and consume alcohol.
Well stated. Now, let's see how this question was resolved by our parent.
Jimmy, there are all kinds of drugs. Some drugs are against the law for everyone because they can cause serious problems, like heroin or crack. It's always wrong to take those drugs. But there are other drugs that are legal. Aspirin's a legal drug, or so is alcohol, but only for adults.
Okay.
It's also true that your father and I do drink beer or wine sometimes. With dinner, or when we're relaxing, or maybe we're having drinks with friends. Many adults drink because they enjoy it. And you know your dad and I would never overdo it when we drink. That would be using poor judgment.
I know that, Mom.
You just need to remember that, well, drinking is just not for kids.
Okay.
Well, when you grow up, you may decide you want to drink. You may decide you don't want to. Anytime you want to talk about it, your dad and I are here. We'll be glad to try and answer any questions for you, okay?
Sure.
Now let's see you polish off that math.
Okay.
What this parent was able to do was to turn a tough question into a learning experience. She tried to put the situation into terms that a young child can grasp. She made it clear that there is a distinction between alcohol and illegal drugs. Every parent needs to make that distinction. If you don't, you may easily confuse the child or send the wrong message that responsible drinking by adults is the same as taking illegal drugs. Now, let's turn to another situation involving older children, a situation that deals with experimentation with alcohol beverages.
That tastes real funny. Are you sure that's how you make a drink?
Well, I guess so. I watched my folks, and that's how they did it.
Oh, I don't feel so hot. I think I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Feel real dizzy all of a sudden.
Bobby, I'm home. Oh, hi, Pat.
Hi.
Where's Bobby?
He went to the bathroom, Mrs. Thompson. I don't think he feels very good.
What do you guys? Pat? You guys have been in the liquor cabinet?
Mom, I'm sick.
The goal of the Family Talk program is to help parents to stop underage drinking before it starts. But even if you have talked to your child about drinking so that your child knows that underage drinking is wrong, there's always a chance your youngster might try it anyway. This is a situation that parents may be confronted with unexpectedly. For some advice on the subject, let's turn to Terry Rodriguez-Olms, a parent, the wife of Dr. David Olms, and a practicing family therapist.
The very first thing to do is remain calm. Find out what the child has been drinking and in what quantity. And observe the child carefully after the incident to make sure there are no after effects. After you've made sure that the child is okay, don't attempt a detailed discussion with the child right away. He or she is probably in no condition to listen anyway. Discuss the situation at a more appropriate time.
Obviously, a parent must show concern for the child's safety in such a situation, but what about the fact that the child broke an important rule? How do you balance these two, showing concern for the well-being of your child, but showing dissatisfaction for the child's misbehavior?
Make sure you are firm, but don't forget your love and concern for the child. A tough love approach is appropriate. It's very important that the child realize that a rule has been broken. With a firm and caring approach, the child will know that parents enforce rules out of concern for the child's welfare.
Let's see how our parents dealt with this tough situation.
Bobby, exactly how much did you and Pat drink?
Just a little.
Are you sure that's it? Exactly how much did you drink?
Not much.
Do you feel like you're going to be sick again?
No, I'm just a little dizzy.
I want you to go up to your room and lie down for a while, and I will be up in a minute. Pat, how do you feel?
I'm not sick, but I feel kind of funny.
All right, I'm going to call your parents and let them know what's happened. And they'll be here to get you in just a minute.
So, Bobby, why did you and Pat decide you were going to drink yesterday afternoon?
I don't know. It's just... I guess we thought it'd be cool, and... Pat said that he and Joey had tried it once, and I thought maybe I should try it too.
No way, Bobby. We've talked about drinking before, and we've told you there are very good reasons why kids shouldn't drink, remember?
Yeah, Mom. You and Dad said that kids weren't big enough to handle alcohol. I guess I found that out the hard way.
Oh, you sure did. But you just forgot all that yesterday afternoon?
I knew it was wrong, but Pat's my friend, and I wanted him to think I was cool.
Well, he may be your friend, but... Look, if someone is your friend, they won't stop being your friend just because you won't do something.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it was stupid.
Bobby, everybody makes mistakes, okay? Now, this was certainly a big one, and I hope you're going to learn from it. But, sweetheart, it's so important for you to remember that your friends like you for who you are, okay? Just for who you are. Not because you do everything that they tell you to do. What kind of friend would that be? Right?
Not much of one, I guess.
That's right. Now, I think we all agree that what happened yesterday was a big mistake. And it was against the rules. And we can't be here 24 hours a day to make sure you abide by the rules. We expect more from you than that. And you let us down. And we also know that when we break the rules, we have to accept the consequences. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Your father and I talked about it. And instead of going skating today, you can clean the garage. You can also paint the storage shelves. And if you don't get finished with it all today, you can just work on it next weekend too, okay?
Okay.
And we expect a first-rate job, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can I get started now?
Sure.
A very firm approach by these parents. Terry, what's your reaction?
The mother handled the immediate situation calmly and firmly. The parents were also wise to wait until the next morning to discuss the matter with their child. And it's very critical that they took a firm stand with the child. When you make rules, you must stick to them. And you must impose an appropriate punishment for breaking that rule.
Certainly, peer pressure played a big role in this experiment with drinking. How can parents help their children understand how to deal with this kind of influence?
Well, friends are very important. In fact, according to a Roper report, children themselves say peer pressure is a big factor in determining whether they will drink. But parents are the most important influence. All children want to be liked and accepted, and sometimes this desire can cause confusion. Teach the meaning of true friendship to your children. Encourage them to recognize that they don't have to do what others are doing when it does not benefit them. And make it a point to get to know more of your child's friends and their families. You can also teach your child to be assertive by building self-confidence and self-esteem. This helps children learn to stand up for themselves.
Good advice. Now, let's move on to another situation that shows a child's observation of an adult drinking situation.
Don't forget the one to grow on.
I won't.
Hey, that was great.
Thanks.
Hey, I'll take the coffee out if it's ready. Everybody wants some except Uncle Jack.
I wish he'd eat something. He's hardly touched any food since he got here.
Uncle Jack is drunk, isn't he?
Well, Rebecca, I'm not sure he's drunk. But Uncle Jack has probably had more to drink than he should have.
You're not gonna let him drive home like that, are you? You told me that driving is a very bad thing to do after you've been drinking too much.
Rebecca learned some important information about drinking and driving from her parents, and she did what a lot of youngsters do, put their parents on the spot by expecting adults to practice what they preach. Let's hear from Dr. Olms.
Research tells us that children look to their parents as their primary role models. And we also know that parental example is one of the major influences on whether or not a child will decide to experiment with alcohol. When children are between ages 9 and 11, as this child is, parents can have a tremendous influence on them. That means when we tell them something, our subsequent actions also have to back up our words. It can't be a case of do as I say, not as I do. It just doesn't work that way with children. Children are keen observers of their parents' behavior. Make sure you live up to the standards you have set.
Let's see how these parents deal with the situation.
You know that Dad and I decide beforehand who's going to be the designated driver if we're going to go out somewhere, Rebecca. People should never drive when they've had too much to drink. They just aren't able to drive safely.
What about Uncle Jack? You want him to get home safely, don't you?
Of course, sweetie, you know that. In fact, he's already asked if he can stay over and spend the night. When Dad and I are out, we play it safe. We make sure we don't put ourselves in that position. And Uncle Jack wouldn't do that either.
But if Uncle Jack hadn't asked, we wouldn't let him drive home anyway. We would have given him a ride or called a taxi for him. It's as simple as that.
We could fold out the couch in the den, and I'll go get the sheets out of the closet.
Hey, but what about a slice of that chocolate cake first?
What the parents have done is to back up their words with actions. In addition to talking with their child in a factual, straightforward manner, they obviously had a plan in place. As a result, they have strongly reinforced the message they have already communicated to their child. Starting early can pay dividends. It gives your child added practice in making wise decisions. By the time your child becomes a teenager, he or she will face some major decisions and some major pressures in many critical areas. Let's examine one possible situation involving alcohol beverages.
Hey, where'd you get the beer? From the fridge in our basement. My dad's not gonna miss a couple six-packs.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi Sharon, Jane.
Hi.
Hey Jeff.
Hi.
Bill said you guys would probably be down here.
Hey Erica, we weren't sure you were coming.
Well, the tryouts went on forever.
Oh, I bet you were so nervous. Last year, Sharon and I just about went crazy. But don't worry, Erica, I know you'll make it.
I hope so. I can't believe how crowded it is upstairs.
Yeah, I guess when everybody found out that Pete was having a party tonight, the word spread pretty fast.
I mean, it's unbelievable. You can't even walk 5 feet without someone dancing on your feet or bumping into you.
Well, hey, this is the real party. If you want to join in, there's some more in the fridge.
It's certainly no secret there's a lot of peer pressure out there for kids to take a drink, and teenagers especially feel the need to be part of the crowd, to fit in. Unfortunately, even though it's illegal for teens to buy alcohol, they can sometimes get their hands on it. How do you prepare your teenager for the kind of situation that we've just seen? It's been said before, but it's worth repeating. Start early. Begin to talk to your child about drinking by the time he or she is 9 years of age, or even earlier if the child asks questions about the subject. And don't just discuss the topic once and think you've said it all. Even if your child is now a teenager and you haven't talked to him or her about drinking, better late than never. Start communicating now. Don't just talk. Listen. Encourage your adolescent to ask questions, make comments, and contribute information. That way, everyone will understand the subject better. But what types of strategies and refusal skills do teenagers need to avoid the peer pressure trap? Strategies and skills that will allow them to save face and avoid inappropriate behavior in an attempt to fit in with the crowd. Strategies and skills that build self-confidence in their ability to handle just such a situation. The best way to do this is to actually sit down with your teenagers and have them come up with the refusal strategies they would use. Let's see how Erica's father helped her develop these skills.
Erica, Your mom and I have talked to you ever since you were a little girl, all about drinking. But now that you're in high school, maybe it's time we listen to you for a change. Sooner or later, you're going to feel pressure to drink. How would you handle a situation like that?
Well, now that I'm older, I do hear more talk at school about drinking. But I think that everybody I know also thinks about the trouble they can get into with it.
Well, that's good to know. But let me ask you, if you went to a party and your friends were there and they were sitting around drinking and they offered you some, I mean, what would you do?
Well, I'd just tell them I didn't want any.
Even if these were people that you really wanted to like you?
Well, sure. I mean, there are definitely certain people you want to like you. But that doesn't mean you have to do something you don't want to. I mean, I think that if they're really worth being friends with, they just wouldn't care about something stupid like that.
So what would you do?
Well, I guess I'd tell them I just didn't feel like having a drink. That it doesn't agree with me. Or that it's my personal choice. And maybe I'd change the subject. Talk about something else.
Erica, I know you probably think I worry about you too much, but hey, it's only because I love you. Just remember that I trust you, and that if you ever have problems dealing with anything like this, don't hesitate to ask.
Okay, Dad. But don't worry. I can handle it.
Okay.
Erica, are you okay?
Oh, sure. Sorry. I just spaced out for a second. Guess I'm just tired from those tryouts. I'll just grab a soda instead. Let me get you one too. And let's go and check out the party upstairs.
Okay.
I saw Greg Mason upstairs. And I hear he's really got a crush on you.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
I talked to Jane.
How does she know?
It appears that Erica handled that situation well. Let's get some additional comments from Terry Ohms.
Did you notice how Erica used positive peer pressure in asking her friend to come upstairs with her? Parents have a role to play here too. They can teach their sons and daughters to develop healthy and safe friendships by observing each relationship and later on talking about it. It's important to welcome the friends and to point out the friends' positive features, but to be prepared if necessary to discuss negative behavior, like, your friend doesn't seem to study much. You can't run your child's life, especially in the teen years. But it's important to stay interested and very involved.
That advice seems easy when you're lucky enough to have a reasonable young person like Erica as your child. But we all know that some teens are much more defiant in their attitudes.
Well, that's certainly true. Teens often do express rebelliousness in the face of parental rules. In therapy, I often say to parents, the more hurtful the behavior of the child, the deeper the child's pain. So, if hurtful behavior persists, it's important to seek professional help. Hurtful behavior might be more than drinking. It could be falling grades, getting in trouble at school, things like that. Be assured that children love their parents naturally, and they have a natural need to please. Recognize their worth, love them for it, and show them how to please you with positive behavior that doesn't hurt them.
Let's review some key guidelines we've talked about in this video. Be a good role model. Make sure your own actions and attitudes set the kind of example you want your children to follow. Learn the facts, then clearly and calmly share them with your child, no matter what the issue is. By providing facts, you show respect for your child's intelligence. Set fair, firm, consistent rules. Let your sons and daughters know where you stand and talk about your family values. Explain what behavior you expect from your children. Have a plan of action should they not follow the rules set. Practice good parenting. Take time for family togetherness. Read with your child. Talk. Listen. Laugh, share, play. Be an askable parent. Make sure your children understand that you want to listen to them and answer their questions. Build self-esteem by making children feel that they are a contributing part of the family. Know your children's friends and families. Peer pressure is a strong influence on your child's behavior, and as we all know, it's tough to raise children these days. Be the kind of parent who gets help if you see your child needs it. Successful parenting is one of the most difficult and important jobs any of us can perform. All of us share the desire to raise self-disciplined, secure, socially responsible boys and girls. We hope Family Talk About Drinking can help you and your family. Good luck.
The Family Talk program is produced by Anheuser-Busch as part of its commitment to helping solve the problem of illegal underage drinking. We believe it is in everyone's interest to be a part of the solution to this problem. The information in this video and in the Family Talk guides is based on input from the Family Talk Advisory Panel, as well as current literature on the subject and conversations with parents and children. To obtain your free copy of our Family Talk guidebooks or information concerning other Anheuser-Busch consumer awareness and education programs, contact Anheuser-Busch Department of Consumer Awareness and Education, 1 Bush Place, St. Louis, Missouri, 63118-1852, or call the toll-free number 1-800-359-TALK. Let's stop underage drinking before it starts.